What's going on, everyone? So the original The Strangers that came out in 2008, I am actually a real fan of. I genuinely enjoyed that movie. It has one of my favorite lines of all horror movies ever. When they're like, "Why are you doing this?" and because you were home. I love that. I love when horror movies don't try to justify and go into complex explanations as to why crazy is crazy. Crazy is just crazy, right? But I know These Strangers was really hit or miss with people, right? Some people absolutely love the film. Is it the greatest film ever? No, of course not. And I do understand why some people don't like it, right? It's more of a slower burn, kind of takes a while to kind of get to the point. But overall, again, it was something that I appreciate for the time that it was. And then we got the sequel, the Prey at Night. And that's the one that people really seem to enjoy most, which, again, I get it. It's a little more action packed, a little more fast paced. That pool scene is one that really jumps out to people. People really enjoy. Well, now we are getting a new trilogy from The Strangers, and it's going to start with The Strangers Chapter 1, which we got the official trailer for now. And we got our first looks at The Strangers Chapter 1. And if I'm being honest, it kind of looks like a play-by-play of the original, right? And maybe it's just kind of the trailer, but the premise is exactly the same. And I get that that's kind of supposed to be the MO. But there also seems to be a lot of confusion about, because originally when this came out, it was supposed to be a prequel to the original, and now Screen Rant came out with a recent article from a day ago where the title of it is The Strangers Chapter 1, a remake or a reboot, and it says it's complicated. And so supposedly it's not a direct remake or reboot of the original movies. So it kind of sounds like it's a little more of a reimagining almost. But the new trilogy will reference the original films with Easter eggs honoring the old characters and plot lines in the standalone series. So kind of sounds like it's supposed to be its own thing, but have some little gems. We'll see. Again, kind of sounds like they don't really quite know what they want to do. But nonetheless, look, I'm gonna watch the movie. I'm excited for the movie. I hope that it's good. I have my hopes. I'm just so burnt out with these remakes that are exactly carbon. Can we get a little creativity? I love the idea and storyline of The Strangers, right? And I would rather you just make it its own thing, because after part 2, it's kind of hard to continue the story much. I mean, you could have, but kind of makes things hard. And I like that they're humans. They're not like some monster. They're not a Jason or a Freddy or anything like that, right? It's just crazy people doing crazy things. And those are always, in my opinion, for me personally, the best type of stories, right? The ones that you can see happening. I love horror movies that I can submerge myself in the idea and concept, right? I've personally never had a paranormal experience. I've never had anything strange or bizarre happen that I'm man, that was really weird, that was terrifying, that some people have had, lived in haunted houses or have had, experiences to where maybe they could submerge themselves in a, haunted house story or, a paranormal story or whatever, right? I just personally have never had that. But we all know that, whether you believe in the paranormal or stuff or not, we all believe that there are crazy people in the world that murder and do all kinds of stuff just for the fun of it or just because they're crazy. And so I love those types of films. I love those types of movies. One of the reasons why Scream is my favorite horror franchise ever, just because it's real. It's just the person is always the one that ends up doing most crime, most activity, right? It's usually caused by somebody. It's always someone So my thing is that I'm excited for The Strangers. I'm excited to see how this plays out. I think that there's a ton of potential for this franchise and what you could do and the story building and the way that you could approach this. And, even if it's not the the original Three Masks and whatnot, right? Even if it is kind of, you could have other areas or other places, or maybe have this become a phenomenon or whatever, right? Like there's so many ways that you could tell unique stories with the premise of The Strangers. And I want them to be unique, right? Like I don't want it to just be the 2008 Strangers redone, which it kind of feels like, right? You got the same sort of ideas. This couple, they're in love, they're in this cabin, right? This time, instead of a girl asking for Tamara, it's a boy. And it's just like, okay, so basically it's the exact same. Again, we're going off of the trailer here, but it just appeared to me like it's the exact same story, just instead of, the girl being that maybe it's a son instead of a daughter. That's part of this whole group. I want some creativity in this. I want some unique storytelling. I think that there's a lot of things that you can do, but also simplicity sells. Like that was one of the great things about the original Strangers, is even though it was this slow burn, it kept you on your toes, right? Like they're just taunting and toying and messing with this couple the whole time. And, they're kind of baiting them the whole time. It's a prey picking on or a predator picking on its prey. Just, it knows like, oh, you're done whenever I want you to be done, but I'm just going to mess with you more. And I love that just psychological sort of just roller coaster that the Three Masked Strangers, put on that couple. And then you saw it kind of again translate into the sequel, in which again it was like, okay, like you're our target, we're gonna play with you, we're gonna mess with you, and then we're just gonna end it, and you're done, and it's a wrap. And I mean, this is gonna be a 3-part, so we know kind of how this is likely gonna unfold, right? Which again, you could kind of knock, right? Like it's kind of one of those like great debates. Like, do you announce a trilogy and for a horror film, which then allows the audience to know that one of two things is going to happen? Either this is just one long story, like in, the Halloween trilogy, the more recent Halloween trilogy, where it's like all essentially in one night, or at least part 1 and 2 are in one night, and then the part 3 is like the continuation like a year later. Or is it something where it's like, like what the Exorcist is supposed to be, where it is kind of like this, each film or the idea of it is supposed to be each film, yes, it's continuations based on that, but it's all like supposed to be different films. Like, what are the approach? But then, okay, well then all 3 of the killers are going to survive, right? Or the heroes are going to survive. Like, where I'm more of like the mystery. I like, if you wanted to do 3 parts, like that's great. Do the 3 parts, just like keep it low key, right? Release chapter 1 and then allow us to speculate on, wait a minute, this is called chapter 1. Does that mean there's going to be more chapters? What are the next chapters, right? And if you tell great stories and you have the success and you continue to push the envelope, right? And audiences are engaged and excited, like you could get to chapter 10, right? Like you could just keep doing it rather than painting yourself into a corner. So, but anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What did you think of the trailer? How did you feel about The Strangers chapter 1 trailer? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Do you kind of feel like I do, where it just kind of seemed like a lot like the original? Again, we're going off of a trailer, so maybe it's just similarities. Again, I get that the couple thing it's their MO. It's kind of how it is. So I'm hoping that it's different. Like there are some subtleties or some similarities, but it's also some twists and things that they didn't do in the original. Because it is one of my more favorable horror franchise or horror films. But anyway, again, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribed to the channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.